We'll call the meeting to order at 6:05. We do have a quorum. The purpose of tonight's meeting, other than regular board meeting, is an emphasis on preparing for town meeting and understanding the legislative landscape ahead ahead of us. Hopefully everyone has had a chance to review the agenda. There was a request from a member to add an item under board process for a possible change in the timing of the receipt of the board packet, and I chose not to put that under board process. However, if a member would like to make a motion to do that, I'm willing to entertain that motion before the board.
I suggested, I don't know whether I'm who you're.
Are you going to move? Would you like to move to have it?
Let me comment on it and then.
Discussion would happen after you got a motion.
After I got a motion?
Yeah.
Right. I will propose for a motion that if the packets coming out have more than, I'm going to say 75 pages, that there be additional time for the board members.
You really, Martha, you're looking to add a motion, to add an agenda item. You're not making a motion about what that would
okay.
be. You want to add this, your motion would be to add an agenda item to discuss.
To discuss the timing of the board packet.
Okay. I move to have an additional item regarding the timing of the board packet and the size.
Do I have a second on that?
Second it.
Seconded by Bev. So we can open it up for discussion.
I'll just comment that the last one was so long, and I didn't begin to think that I had sufficient time to really do justice to all the content. And so if they are going to be in excess, I'm going to suggest of 75 pages, that there be additional time for the board members to be able to process it.
So the motion at the moment is just to add an agenda item, right?
Yeah.
Right.
And that's my discussion item. Point.
Okay. So is there any other discussion about adding that? Okay, so I'll take a vote to add the timing of the board packet to the board process section of our agenda. So it'll be the fourth item on that list. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all those opposed? Dave? It's me. And
I'll
abstain, and an abstention. Okay, so we've added that to the agenda. Any other?
Hang on. You've got to, because you've got an electronic member, you have to take it by roll call.
Oh, whoops, sorry, Ryan, I completely spaced.
Okay,
So,
I raised my hand when I said aye, so.
But it wasn't unanimous, so you've got to take a roll call.
okay, so all those in favor say, oh, wait, how do you do that?
Just,
You
I
go
just
to each
point?
member.
Yeah.
Okay,
yes.
yes.
Abstain.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yes. Ryan? Yes. And Ann? Nay. Okay. So the agenda item is added under board process for later. So we're going to continue on. Do we have any community members? You're going to be speaking with it, Jerry. Do you want to, you have an interest?
I have no other input.
Okay.
Other than what's on the agenda.
That's okay. And do we have anybody on the,
You do not.
I do not, so
Brian and Orca.
then I am going to not read our public comment preamble and move on to the legislative updates. And we're waiting for Ann Cummings to show up online, hopefully.
And Watson.
Or Ann Watson. I thought it was Ann Cummings. Anyway, Ann Watson.
No, yeah, he's right. She's Montpelier, based out of Montpelier. Ann Cummings is Windsor County.
Well, both of them are, both of them would be because of Braintree.
Right, right. Okay. So, and we have Larry here. Jay Hooper
Can't come.
wasn't able to make it.
So I guess, Larry, you can just speak on behalf of the state.
Yeah.
No pressure.
Pretty weighty.
What are you doing? What are you doing to fix it all?
No, what we're hoping for is just kind of an overview of sort of, one, sort of where you are in the whole education areas, because I know, last I knew, you're not on any of the education committees.
I'm not on the education committee.
So you're relying on your colleagues in the House.
Yeah. I guess I would just start by saying not really a lot has changed since the last time we were here. The education, we're only a few weeks really into the new session. The Education Committee has taken up, further testimony on Act 73 and the follow-up to it. What I've heard from the committee and from, House leadership is that people are open to ideas. There's not a set path. There's going to be a lot of negotiations, a lot of vetting of different ideas. The chair of House Ed did release a map that he very strongly warned was a suggested map and, not a, this is what I want, but this is a starting point of a conversation. That map is, I think has 28 districts in it, so it's a far cry from the governor's original proposal of, I think, 5 districts. So much more in line with what I think a lot of people would prefer to see, a smaller scale, less consolidation. And I guess the couple of things which I would like to just point out, and again, these aren't things that have changed, but when there's a lot of Act 73 was built in such a way that things wouldn't really happen unless other things happened, right? So that's what's happening now. But there were certain parts of the bill that put in place, permanent changes to statute. And there were quite a few of them, but I think from my perspective, 3 of the more important ones were, one, some very strong limitations on the ability for independent schools to accept public money. We went from over 100 independent schools that were taking public tuition dollars to, last I heard, the current number is 18. So that, for me, was a big win, and one of the reasons why I ended up supporting Act 73, because I knew that a lot of the other changes that people were worried about were still in flux and more hypothetical. Even though they were in the bill, they weren't for sure. But that I knew, if we passed the bill, was going to happen. And the idea of the amounts of money that we were spending on schools from out of state, sometimes out of the country, it seemed like they weren't really great uses of public dollars. So I was really, really happy to see that go into effect. Another piece of the bill which is going into effect, which I also was really strongly in favor of, and another reason why I felt it was important to get it in place when we had the opportunity, was the new non-homestead residential tax classification. If you're not familiar with that, it's basically second homes sort of writ large, is that group of properties, not long-term rental properties, but mostly homes that are not being used year-round by people who live in the state. And this will allow us to tax those properties at a presumably higher rate than we tax other properties. I think it makes a lot of sense. So that's another piece which is moving along. The tax department is coming up with rules for what's going to count and what's going to not count, because we don't want to include things like, hunting camps, for instance, as second homes. But we do want to include things like $1 million mansions on the top of a mountain. So there's ways that we're gonna work through some of those issues. It's all very doable. And then the third piece, which I thought is worth mentioning, is the regional assessment districts, which are envisioned in the original legislation that break up Vermont into, is it 7 districts?
Yeah.
7 different regional districts that will all do their reassessments for properties at the same time and put them on a regular schedule so that we have regular updating of the grand list for all the communities in Vermont. The idea being that we're going to be having a more equitable distribution of who pays what for education taxes. That's what I got. If you have questions, I'll try to answer them the best I can. You have anything to add, Jay?
I do actually have some things to add. That was actually very thorough, and that's as good as it could get for what's going on, or what's been passed on paper, what we're committed to working on theoretically. I have been tracking more closely sort of what is and isn't happening in the committees of jurisdiction, as I have last couple sessions. I don't know if my brother, I was intending to be elsewhere tonight. I have a Fire 2 class, but I realized I'm going to be so late to it. Might as well just go to a makeup class and come do it. This is also more important, truly. But I guess what I mean to say to you all is that I can't really tell you what will or won't happen this session. I am, I think, a cheerleader in all of this. I've realized that this is really tough work, especially for the people at the table in the committees of jurisdiction, assuming that they're committed to staying right on top of it, which they are currently not. And that's not to throw shade. I just am trying to figure out ways to kind of tactfully say, you need to stay on top of this, and you need to deliver for those of us, of your colleagues who are not on these committees, stuff to decide on this session. And there's a million different points of disagreement in this stuff, philosophical, ideological, certainly political and emotional. But really, this is all geography. One size fits all. What is the opposite of one size fits all? Probably no 2 sizes are the same. That is the case right now, right? For Vermont, for the future landscape of Vermont's public school system. And I think if we're talking a lot about the future state, which is a term that I use regularly, I think also we need to be talking about what it looks like to construct a transition state. Because over the next 8 or 12 years, I think it's going to take something that will go away, ultimately, for us to get through the time where we are trudging through as we do or don't face really difficult decisions. And all this has to do with mathematics, economics, and of course enrollment. So I guess to try and give you sort of some of the nuance, I think that Peter Conlon, the chair of the House Education Committee, is doing a fine job of inviting his committee mates to sort of put on paper concrete, detail-oriented suggestions as to what direction this conversation ought to go next or now. I think that the mapping question is, of course, one that we should constantly evaluate. We should have, this whole time, the task force didn't force the task. They were tasked with coming up with 3 maps for the legislature at large to consider. There are no maps from that endeavor. That's not to fault them. They did good work. Their work is valuable, and we should use it. But what I'm trying to say, I guess, is that the timeline for maps, I don't think is going to be as streamlined as some policymakers have said, and that's also okay, because there's plenty of other things for us to work through disagreements on. And I guess right now, the assignment for House education members, whoever else is interested, is to kind of put in order what we ought to do first, second, last, everything in between, what we ought to not touch, how long. One question I'd like to put to some of my colleagues is where, like in what town and in what year, should we build how large of a brand new high school so as to close as many schools in that area as possible? Is that the mission? Maybe. But like, these are the things we have to consider. So in the, 20 minutes or better committee discussion yesterday. So if there's any meeting I would suggest you all clue into if you're looking to see kind of what it is that I'm talking about in real time. Yesterday afternoon, the last meeting of the day for House Education, and then today's Senate Education heard from the chair of House Education on that map. And he basically said, this map is not, it's not, he's not ambivalent about it, but he's also not wedded to it. He doesn't have a destination, there's no agenda. He may have some underlying suggestions, like those, so the latest iteration of that, so the map that came, 27 or 28 districts from House Education, that map effectively eliminates supervisory unions. So it creates only school districts. Like all those 27 or 28 geographical areas are school districts. And I think supervisory districts, but no supervisory unions. So among the things that I think that we need to do this time is at least get started on rewriting, I think it's chapter 13, which is the governance. So all these definitions of supervisory union versus district versus school, we need to sort of learn from Act 46. The legislature needs to tie its shoes and make some tough decisions on behalf of Vermont voters, and particularly school boards, who are stuck with making really tough decisions that you really shouldn't have to make. What you're welcome to jump in with questions. I'm going to try and give you more, but like there's a lot to decide on. Right now we're still kind of working, we're doing circles around the same conversation we've been doing for 18 months, which was always going to be the case. And that was sort of, that's been my point for a long time. The nice thing about the task force is that theoretically we can't go into another summer with, another, like I don't think we're going to pass another bill that says just put it to a task force. I think we're going to make some decisions, but how large and how impactful those will be remains to be determined. And these are the really critical moments in the legislative session, the end of February, going into crossover, town meeting day. One of the things I insist that my colleagues do make an effort to do is define local control. Because it's, in my assessment, not just a myth, it's actually a farce. The notion that you're impacting your school budget is ridiculous as a voter. You aren't. It's just true. And so why would we protect this thing that isn't, you could vote down your school, the budget you all create, and that maybe if enough towns do that same thing, you vetoed the dollar figure and it could go down theoretically. But there's no real direct correlation between the votes and the bill you get in the mailbox. So we've known this for like 100 years, better. And I think right now we have the political will maybe to, so I guess in better news, I think career technical education will be the bridge for the future state. I think if we can this session agree on what it looks like to invest in universal career technical education in Vermont, we're going to be able to give students sort of the flexible pathways, I think, are going to be how we are able to change the landscape. But like I say, there's a million things for us to decide. We're moving really slow right now. I was happy to see the Commerce and Economic Development Committee this morning hear from Secretary Saunders on their career tech suggestions. There's a lot of details to be sorted out there. But, that takes time. And that means that our agendas need to be filled with these issues, hearing from interest groups about all the different things that we aren't gonna do is directionless. Anybody who says that creating a map is a largely academic process and therefore lawmakers, us ordinary citizen lawmakers, shouldn't be the ones to try and do that. We are without the tools to do that. I say to that person, it is a particularly aimless argument to make that one. We gotta get to work. You want me to shut up?
No, I want to see the map.
I can go get it. I will go get it. I apologize. I forgot. I left that in my vehicle because I was trying to be in here in a timely way, but I will go grab that for you. But again, another thing I'd just like to emphasize on behalf of the creator of that map is that if there were two towns or a town that he couldn't decide if it should go south or north in this iteration of districts, he had no certain rationale for maybe, he said, okay, south on this one and north on that one, we'll see what they think, right? Like he's putting something on paper for us to chisel away at.
Starting point.
Sam, are you wanting to see the map, or are you wanting to know how the map affects OSSD? You have a link in your email
Oh.
Oh, you
around
have it?
that has the map,
Oh.
and I could tell you how it affects OSSD right
I
now.
would like to know that.
Could I
Sure.
ask a question
Yes.
first, though? This new map that was created, I know early in the process, the task force had come up with some potential maps, like, maybe centered around the technical centers or whatever. Is this based on anything like that, or is it just kind of like the vibes? Like,
Well,
these look like good lines, it's a good shape.
So that question couldn't have been phrased better because it's a little bit of what you just said. It's vibes,
Okay.
if you will.
Yeah.
But it's also, I think, generally based on the recognition that school districts ought to be between 2,000 and 4,000 students each at a minute like that range.
Mhm.
I think that the committee is close or largely in consensus on that. And that's certainly the position of the chair. He also, I think, cares to define governance questions around educational quality standards and what it looks like to be an independent school versus a public school. So that, I think, the mission in his map, or the suggestion, right, is to eliminate supervisory unions. I think that's effectively the one thing that map does. And it's up for debate, but like, you can go listen to this afternoon's Senate Education meeting and you'll see that they're like hardly debating it. It's like, there's so much more to debate than whether, it's arbitrary, I think the one takeaway from his testimony this afternoon that was striking to me is that I think deciding a number of districts and not so much their configurations is actually a major step forward in terms of being able to predict math, right? There are a lot of decisions that we can't make until we have a map, right? Like, for example, where should that one big high school go and when? And that'll be an extremely expensive project. And like, still, we have a moratorium on school construction aid. So another piece of agreement is around, okay, if we're gonna unlock dollars, and from where we have to decide, but if we're gonna start to deliver state aid to the places that need it, it should be on the basis of incentive towards a commitment to a larger thing. And like I say, I really think that the bridge will be built on CTE, Career Tech. And I think, well, today was the day that conversation started, but the House committee can't take more testimony till next week, which is a lifetime away. I'm like, okay, really? They don't have time? And that's okay, but it means in the meantime, we're gonna see if we can come up with some of the answers that House Democrats in particular would like from the Agency of Education in the way of data and other things. But yeah, any other questions? Martha?
H545, it doesn't directly nail education so much as the medical world, but there have been incidents where schools have enforced vaccines, and it's created havoc in Vermont. So I'm asking, has there been sufficient discussion on vaccines as they affect the schools?
Yeah, actually, we decided as the legislature to pursue measures to basically put in place standards around vaccinations that the federal government is dismantling. So our health department said, no, we don't agree with the removal of sort of scientific progress on vaccines. And is that how you would characterize it?
Well, I would just say, I think that's the bill that was passed by the House.
The House passed it by large margin,
Yeah.
127 to 9.
Basically, that bill says we're going to keep the status quo around vaccines in Vermont. It doesn't change what we already do.
But it raises the question, which was discussed in the Senate committee, the Health and Welfare Committee, on, what if the regs are different and somebody gets caught in between? Is it going to guarantee a nightmare lawsuit for somebody to have to plug through?
Not sure the answer to that. I think that probably a judicial process would be the only way to determine the answer to that question. If somebody decides to ask that one in a lawsuit, we have not been discussing though that sort of type of question in the education.
But I hope before it gets passed, those kind of issues are addressed.
Sure.
Because that creates a nightmare for Vermonters if they're the one that ends up being stuck in it.
I'll follow up with you about that.
Thank you.
My understanding is that the states have the authority to enact their own guidelines around vaccines, and we're simply keeping the guidelines that we had before they were being dismantled at the federal level. So I'm not an expert in this area by a long stretch, but my understanding is that nothing is really expected to change. It's really a way to keep what we have now in place.
And John Benson is one of the ones that was raising that question.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, that's the way I understand it.
Then I'll follow up with him as well.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering about all of the focus on reconfiguring districts and if there's any movement and possibility of coordination with folks in other committees. When I think about reconfiguring districts has questionable effects on efficiency,
Yep.
right? But there are all sorts of other things like healthcare costs
Sure.
and the ways that we get the money for schools from property taxes
Mhm.
that could have more impactful kind of results on
Sure.
making our schools more efficient for Vermonters and supporting our student learning. And I'm wondering if any of those conversations are happening that I know are probably in many ways outside of the purview of the education committee, but like how siloed is that?
Very silent. There is no communication between these committees currently, aside from, like I say, the chairs of the two education committees, that they're in communication. But healthcare and education, there's no overlap currently. Hopefully, as I've been sort of trying to think, hopefully it's not like bad that it's my idea, but I will continue to insist that change, that the career tech bill that just went into Commerce and Economic Development, that would go next to House Education, and they'll all give it a stamp of it. It's like we need to be building sort of a larger bill that goes to healthcare and other places. We are discussing a bill, H843, the healthcare, public school employees' healthcare is what that looks at, an actuarial value, I guess. And the details of that I'm still learning, but the NEA is not going to like that one. They've actually already said that. So there are a couple bills. you know, the chairs are talking about the savings from reference-based pricing and, you know, figuring out policy that helps bring down drug prices and stuff, but it amounts to sizable amounts, but not next to the growth, you know? It's just, it's significant, but not enough. So, I'm hopeful that the sponsors of primary care bills will come out and sort of maybe throw together a press conference and get some things, you know, working on in tandem. Like, okay, by this year, we're hoping to be this far along on this plan to do something that's significant. Because, you know, I mean, I was telling Sam, like, hey, update these guys, we got like pretty much nothing to tell them. But like for real, we don't. And so that's not to say, like, I'm an optimist, but I'm also a cynic, like I'm a realist. I'm trying to say to my friends, you've got to both be very creative, you have to be very tough. This is really hard work. And, you know, it can't be about coming back. It can't be about your political brand, personal or party. This is about Vermont children, and the way to get for them what they need is to be willing to evolve. And that's including all of you, frankly.
One other quickie.
Okay.
Any idea why Casey decided such late?
He did. Casey took a sweeter deal. He became the town manager of this, or the, I guess, city manager? No, town manager of St. Albans. So the town, not the city.
But, I mean, wasn't he seeing that in December? I mean, it seems so late for him to have made that decision. And he's really been somebody who's usually been pretty responsible in those kinds of things.
Yes, and I think we can rely on him to come back and share with us his perspectives on important matters. But you know, those replacement of a politician who decides to move on to another chapter is always a political engagement. So timing, I can't speak to.
Ryan, you're online. Do you have any questions? I just want to make sure that I don't miss you because you are online.
No, thank you, Ann. I will speak up if I do.
Okay.
But Jay did a great job, and I've had a great time listening to him, as I always do.
Okay.
Thank you. Somebody willing to say that?
So I want to understand a little bit more about this whole CTE, because there was the map around the CTEs, but you're talking about this new bill around CTEs. So what does that look like? And it sounds like it's something that you think is a good idea for Vermont.
I think it's the territory where we will be able to come to an agreement about some major step in the right direction in the way of like investment that we can't repeal or run on repealing. Like, that'd be the worst thing, is like we pinch together the political will to pass something that's been, you know, watered down, as we say, and then like go knock doors saying, I'm gonna vote to take that down, like to repeal it. Like that'd be really bad, I think. I think career tech, designing the future state of career technical education this year, or at least having a plan to make that happen, will be how we sort of get behind the future of a funding formula that is more simple. And the politics of that have yet to be unveiled. Really, today was the beginning of that process. You've got a lot of people saying, why this, why that? Where's the data to substantiate this suggestion? This is a $75 million ask or thereabouts. Why would we, you know, pinch our nose and go for it? We don't know enough. Okay, so how much time do we have to figure out the answer to those questions? Probably like 10 days, honestly, if we're gonna be on schedule with our process, crossover and otherwise. But to answer your question, did I answer your question?
Well, it sounds like it's still, there's a lot that's not
There's a lot.
decided.
So I would say,
I'm just curious what the direction, so the direction is, if it's CTE, and then, you know, the task force had come up with sort of a CTE-based regions.
no, it's not,
And-
it's not a product of the task force.
Okay,
This is,
so
today.
it's an unrelated
So
to what the E
today's-
CTE.
Today's bill, which actually probably went to committee yesterday, but this would be coming from the administration, it'd be the governor's language, their team.
Okay,
So it would be Saunders, part of her vision. Whereas S313, for instance, would be the bill crafted by Keisha Ram Hinsdale, who is, you know, quite a powerful figure in the Senate. So that'd be the counter. It'll be between those two products that we decide where to put pages. You know what I mean? And then hopefully they come to something that we all created. You know what I'm saying?
mhm.
That's the hope. At least that's, you know, that's, I'm trying to like be a pollinator, you know, going around to committees. I'll even say, oh, you guys look tired, but you are doing great. Hang in there. It's gonna be fun in the end, hopefully. Basically, the mission here is to simplify for Vermont voters an understanding of what it is that we're doing, talking about, right? How we spend money. I think it's important that we, on a state level, kind of make more uniform some of the expectations for people on your level, right? Like spending guidelines, for example, or incentives in buildings and investments like that, and sort of just there are opportunities for dollars to be spent frivolously, and that's across the map, and that's for nobody's fault. And it's our task to try and figure out how to end that. Because expecting all of you and all the other school boards in the state to cut our way out of this problem that's asinine. You can't cut your way out of a budget crisis in anything. But like, when it comes to education spending, public education, there's no such thing as too many dollars spent on public education. It's about, you know, how, you know, equity should exist for both the child and the taxpayer. And that's where we're at. Come on, you gotta have some curveball questions.
Well, the speed at which things are happening, some of it is legislated in, like things have to happen, right? What's your, I mean, I know it's early, but do you think we're gonna stay on track with this, or are we gonna be pushing out?
Grab my crystal ball.
I know, that's a really tough
You guys have both been
question.
around long enough to see that you kind of try and keep things palatable for the first part of the time. And then at crunch time, at the end, it ends up being a small group that ends up making the real crunch decisions, and
That's right.
that's what it is.
Yeah.
And it's a lot of give and take and a lot of negotiating back and forth, and this person gets that and that one gets that. You know, how
The
many
horse
birds can you
trading.
pass around?
Yeah, we have to be way above the sort of personal agenda, this for that. We have to, you know, that can happen on other issues maybe, but when it comes to doing something or choosing not to, which is possible. And I think that's the lousier of the two, like, because if we don't do, well, we are currently aboard a sinking ship. And I think that it will sink if we don't figure out how to prevent it from sinking. So to answer your question, which I don't want to hog the mic, you're welcome to try to tell them what you think, but I am committed to trying to make something really, really great happen. But getting my colleagues to have the patience and emotional composure to hang with that mission all the way to April, it's a tall order. So I go through the day feeling anxious and excited, pretty much nothing in between. I'm worried. Or I'm like, all right, yes, that chair is gonna do something. And then the next day I'm like, oh, didn't quite go the way I thought and hoped, but maybe there's opportunity in the next few hours and tomorrow morning. So it's just kind of trying to get people on the same page. You got a lot of egos, you got a lot of really smart people. We have the brains, we have the tools, we have enough of the information to do something that is really great. And,
I will say this, I am glad to see roll calls being taken. Because they weren't in 23, 24.
I agree with you, Martha. That is one thing you and I very much do agree on. And superintendents, we're gonna tap you guys for your expertise. It's gonna be, everybody's gotta help with this. It's gonna, one of the other things is that I think is gonna be hard is if people need to find a different job because we decided that it's gonna go a certain way, I hope that other areas of education where there are voids will be filled.
Jay, I think that realistically speaking, before Vermonters start voting down their budgets on schools, before they stop supporting schools financially, what's frankly gonna happen is we're gonna run out of people who are qualified to do the work. Right now, if you guys go back and ask the Agency of Education how many provisional licenses are out there, the number is astronomical. And so the reality of it is, you're not gonna put anybody out of work who's qualified to do the work at the moment.
No, I
So
got it.
the reality there is, it's pretty straightforward. So I don't think I know of anybody who's really worried about not having a job. I think the work is there. Would say to you guys that you've bounced around it, Jay, a lot here. What you're lacking at the state level, and y'all are the ones that are responsible for ensuring constitutionally education throughout Vermont,
Absolutely.
is that you don't have a vision for what it should look like.
Yep.
You've given that vision out right now to, 119 different districts.
Yep.
And so you're, right now, the Conlin maps, great first step, I think, right? For those of you that want to know how it affects the OSSD, essentially it would combine OSSD with the White River Valley Supervisory Union, and it looks like add Thetford. So take those people together and Thetford. And since you spent time talking with Central Vermont Supervisory Union, Central Vermont Supervisory Union would go with Montpelier, Barry, and U32. I think it may be a couple from the Caledonia Central Supervisory Union. Looks like they split the Caledonia Central Supervisory Union up a little bit, but those would be all of the people that you talked with around this. So, and I think Chair Conlon did a nice job of saying this is not a map that I think is going to get passed. This is a map that I want to use. And he didn't use the word vision, but what he did use was, he said he wanted people to put out there what's important to them. And this would be a tool to get there. So the reality of it is, what he said was, he wanted to get a better understanding of what people's vision of education needs to be. I would say to both of you that right now, the Orange Southwest School District, our projected tax increase, if you use the yield that was in the tax letter, is Braintree and Brookfield are looking at a 4-cent increase. So nothing close to the 12% that you're hearing in other places. Randolph is a 2-cent increase. So when it comes time to decide whether you're going to buy the tax rate down further than that for Randolph, Braintree, and Brookfield, what you'll be doing there is you'll be creating a tax cliff for them in the future year. I would propose to you that giving the AOE, instead of, what did we spend last year, was it 111 or 118 million to buy the tax rate down?
Yeah.
If instead you gave the Agency of Education $1 million of that, nobody would have missed $1 million of that. It didn't buy the tax, $1 million didn't buy the tax rate down that much. If you gave them $1 million and said, your job is to put, I don't know, I'm being a little bit before the 28 district map came out, there was the 5 district map. Put somebody in each of those 5 district areas and have each of those 5 regions work on what does the vision of education in our region look like. Give them a budget of $1 million, give them a budget of $2 million, instead of buying the tax rate down, so that they come back, hire staff, they go out, they actually work with Vermonters to say, this is what we believe about education. If you swing into House Ed on Friday at, what are they going, 11:30, there will be students from, this week? There will be students from OSSD and Montpelier testifying about a vision for regional central Vermont education system. And then they are headed over to Senate Ed at 1:15, 1:30, something like that. While they don't have a fully fleshed vision, they do have the key pillars, and I think that it would be universal throughout the state. I'm proud of the work that they did, so.
I look forward to that. Awesome. Well, I appreciate some of your comments. That's very, very helpful.
Quick question, does that weigh in on where they think they stand? I'm kind of surprised that they aren't along with.
Nobody weighed in on that map.
Okay,
Peter Conlon weighed in on that map,
Yeah.
you know? And again, that's not a dig on Peter Conlon, because Peter Conlon was also very clear that he was just using it to start a conversation.
Where's he from?
Middlebury. Well,
Cornwall.
But his district is, so I'll give him also credit for not usually representing their immediate, he cares more about the larger, you know, he almost got voted out of his seat 2 elections ago because he voted for ed policy that wasn't favorable to that district. So he's certainly not sitting there thinking about how to keep his seat. He cares about creating a conversation that goes somewhere and doesn't go just anywhere. He's very, he doesn't want us to create some policy that creates a lawsuit, that creates a whole new landscape nationally. That would be one that, you know, something that he cares about. And I don't want to speak on him, like for him, but I'm pretty sure I can say that.
I think what I appreciated about what he put out there was, unlike what happened last year, it was a scale that is more in line with Vermont, right? If you start thinking about 2,000 students, that's not gigantic, right? I'm not sure that, was it Bruce Baker did a presentation that afternoon?
Friday morning,
Yeah.
last week.
Yep. And really talked about the savings. So if you're doing this for savings purposes, the savings come when we're starting at looking at buildings and districts that are very small, like 100
Yeah.
or less than 100, right? And then that graph, if you look at that, I gave you all and OSSD all his testimony because I thought it was really interesting. The 100, so the graph per pupil is something like this. When you drop to his next level, I mean, it dropped significantly, and then it tailed off pretty quickly after that. So there was no need to get to the 8,000, the 4,000, the 8,000 from a cost standpoint. So I thought it was an interesting place to start. Say from a superintendent standpoint, that's a more manageable. I think I probably said to both of you and sent you messages last year that there's no way that you're going to go to 5 districts in 3 years.
No way.
That's not going to happen. The timeline, the work that's required to do it, it's not possible. If you want to get to 5 districts, maybe that's possible at some point, but you better increase the appetite for it throughout the state of Vermont or it'll fail. And 3 years will never, I can't organizationally do what you need to have happen for that.
I think
to
the
happen.
shock value and the motivational, sort of,
Yep.
I think 5 was sort of like, this is how serious we're talking.
Okay.
and got us going.
So if you're talking more about 28 districts, and now, if I had my way, y'all would talk vision, timeline, number of districts,
Okay.
right? That's the order that this ought to go. What's the vision? What do we want education to be in Vermont? Do you want Vermont to be the mental health provider for people under 18? Because we are. Do you want us to be doing laundry for kids? Because we are.
Mhm.
Do you want us to provide medical services, dental services?
Yes.
Because we are,
Mhm.
right? If that's what the vision is, then understand that's the vision. Understand what it's gonna cost to fund that and whatnot. Understand that a lot of the costs that education gets tagged with was all of those things that I just added in there cost that money. But figure that out. Figure out what timeline do you want to achieve that vision in, whatever it is. And then figure out how many districts does it take, how many districts do you need in order to do it? Because at that point, some districts will probably be too small to accomplish all the things that you want them to accomplish in a cost-effective way.
And I think it's actually really helpful too that you mentioned Bruce Baker, the
Yep.
Rutgers, for context. He's a Rutgers University professor who grew up in Rutland. He was one of the two main authors of basically our latest iteration of the weights. He and Tammy Colby, a UVM professor, among others, put their heads together and said, okay, in this modern era, you need to calculate the cost per pupil. And when you do your per pupil spending analysis, you need to factor in these additional variables. So he's very plugged in, but his thesis, I think, was about not just any small building. He's saying there are small schools that should stay open.
Correct.
There's a smallness threshold, that the drop off. There's an obvious math trend after a certain point. So on what timeline should we shut the lights off in those places? Indeed, it should be based on a vision. And I agree, I think that it's not very fathomable. I can't conceive of like this legislative session wrapping up on time and us also saying, okay, it's now 30 districts or 15 or whatever. I just don't see that
But
happening.
you're still not going to address what the vision of those districts are, and you're going to be in exactly the same spot.
True enough. So that's why I say career tech, I think, is the way to create that vision and that timeline, and to kind of bring the stakes down. But at the same time, we're gonna have to do not a property tax freeze, but like some kind of cap on growth, which is what the Senate's working.
So then my question to you there is, why wouldn't you just lower the excess cost threshold? Why are you onto a cap that's gonna have you want the curve, here comes the curveball, Jay. Why do you want the cap that's gonna be challenged constitutionally versus just increasing, or just lowering the threshold? Because this board, when we went over, when our budget would have been over the threshold, they said, oh, no, it's gotta be under.
It's funny that you bring in that word, the constitutional, that's, I think the consensus probably is, especially on the left, that suggestion would have a worse time passing constitutional muster.
The threshold or the cap?
The threshold. And the
Okay.
reason I say that is because it's too similar to what we abandoned. You know what I'm saying? So like, the legislature made a decision in the past that was based on a Supreme Court decision, and that, I think, is way too similar to.
Well, it's so I think you just have to lower the number that the threshold is right at the moment. So the threshold right now is 15, I don't know. We widened the gap because last year we were about $100 away from the threshold. This year, I think we're almost $200 or $300 below the threshold. But if you had said, we're gonna lower the threshold more, this board would have said to me, we need to reduce. We need to be below the threshold.
But would
And
we
you
have
would've-
if it had
I don't know
been
if you-
really significant cuts to what our students are receiving? Like, I think, you can only go so low when the costs keep going up. We're not going to say, screw the students, you know?
That's true. You might have chosen to go over the threshold, but you would have had the conversation about what it is to be under, and that's what would have kept you constitutionally protected, because you're not saying what's going to get you into constitutional problems is when you say you can't spend this money versus, sure, you can spend this money, but here's the penalty for it. And so I don't know what you would have, I don't know what would have happened if they had lowered it, but I think, so Rachel, the reason that I don't like the cap is because it's the same thing that you're worried about happening is going to happen, and the difference will be you won't have a choice about can you go over or can you not go over. You might be the district that decides to bring the constitutional challenge because you feel so passionately that we need to spend that money in order to provide the education that we need to provide our kids. So that's the difference between the cap and the threshold.
I had an interesting chat on our trip that was with somebody whose Rena was in the health arena, and he sees a major change that's needed to be happening across America where there'll be more rural hospitalization practices, which could easily impact Vermont. And if that's the avenue to be able to bring down the medical expenses, we need to be prepared. And I know that there's some of you here at this table that will hit a real vibrant note to. But that is an area that has been constantly driving the rising educational costs, as all the insurance costs. So,
Yeah, and I think that's a separate conversation.
yeah, I do too, but I'm just.
And I will say there's a lot of work happening. There was an informational session that Michael shared out in December around what's happening with education reform. And right after education, Jill Olson, who came on and shared the work that's happening in the state around that. I would encourage you to watch it. It's very informative. We were a state, I think all states receive money this called Rural Healthcare Transformation Grant. And so we were granted $195 million a year for 5 years to help really reshape how we do healthcare in this state. Those conversations are happening daily at the hospital level, at the sort of ambulatory care level with primary care, and thinking about how healthcare is impacted by many things, access being one of them, cost being another. So it's not worth rehashing in this meeting, but I would really encourage you to watch Jill's presentation. It's very helpful.
What was the last name?
Olson.
Okay, thank you.
It's a separate conversation, but it's very, very closely linked, and I think the things that,
Yeah.
one of the things that ties them together is our demographic issue.
Mm-hmm.
Totally. The demographics thing, big time, yep.
I mean, our per person Medicare spending is actually lower than most places, not higher, despite our high costs.
Yep. Increasing our risk pool, that's kind of a conversation that I think will develop a little more thoroughly.
Okay, well, we've taken
Sorry.
a good hour of your time.
You guys have
We
to-
appreciate it. I think most folks have gotten a question or two in. Is there any last thing you want to add? We'll be watching, and
Do you watch every day, or it seems like you're really pretty?
I do not watch every day. I wait until it's done,
Yeah.
because you can watch it at 1.75 speed.
Yeah. Right.
Fair.
That's so true. Well, I like to kind of, make sure that my pals in these committees are just seeing that, look, I'm not here to make anybody feel pressured. I'm not trying to, step on anybody's toes. In fact, I go around and make sure I'm not doing that. That's my plan. That's the goal. It's more to try and remember where members of the legislature who would otherwise not know that they agree with other members. Like, I can remember what they said 2 months ago. You know, oh, actually, you might strike a chord with so-and-so in the Senate. And then they'll go off and help lead a solution to that point of disagreement. And so I guess in all of this, I'm very hopeful that we really recognize how individual each child, every kid is different, and the cookie cutter stuff is like not. We have to create wraparound services. I hope that we consolidate our 5 agencies that, you know, like Capstone, for example. I think that like the future of state government and governmental services should be consolidated in the public school, because that should be our infrastructure, you know, that should be where we centralize our services. It's called the community schools model, and I think, you know, it's nice that I have yet to meet a Republican who thinks that that's the worst thing ever. You know, it's and I don't mean to, I'm saying, you know, politically palatable. It's, you know,
Big picture learning.
yeah. See, Martha likes it. That's the big picture. Thank you for having us.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you both.
Thank you, everybody. Come back anytime you need us.
Crystal ball and everything.
No, Crystal Ball's gonna stay home next time. Too dangerous.
Do you guys still want that map? I can bring it in.
Well,
Well,
no.
we have the.
We have access to
I
something.
Yeah.
have
that you
it,
already
I
put
just
up.
can't see it on this stupid little screen because the app is developed for desktops. But
I'm sure I'll see you again somewhere.
I'm sure I can just use my computer.
Yeah, you guys. And hey, if you guys have a map you'd like to give us, be our guest.
Good night. Okay. So we are moving on.
And I think I can do the next 3 bullets pretty quickly,
Okay, wonderful.
right? I've got a summary, I made notes, so that it's not just.
Excellent.
Here you go. So the first bullet is around the budget review. Here it is, in a 30-floor elevator pitch. This year, the OSSD board and administration focused on trying to maintain services available to students while also minimizing the tax impact to residents of Braintree, Brookfield, and Randolph. I believe the budget the board is prepared to go to the voters does this. The ballot language is Article 9. Shall the voters of the Orange Southwest School District approve the school board to expend $29,159,606, which is the amount the school board has determined to be necessary for the ensuing fiscal year. The Orange Southwest School District estimates this proposed budget, if approved, will result in per pupil education spending of $15,339.41, which is 1.22% lower than per pupil education spending for the current year. Based on the projections, using the yield figure in the December Tax Commissioner's letter, we make the following estimations. The Orange Southwest School District equalized homestead tax rate is projected at $1.75, a decrease of 7.4 cents or 4.22% from last year's rate of $1.83. However, properties in Braintree, Brookfield, and Randolph have continued to sell for more than their appraised value, which has caused the common level of appraisal to drop in each of the towns. The decrease in the OSSD equalized tax rate helps offset the increase caused by this common level of appraisal, but is not able to fully eliminate it as a result. Braintree CLA adjusted tax rate will increase by 4 cents from $1.92 to $1.96. There's some decimal points, it goes out a little further than that. Which will increase the monthly tax bill on a $250,000 home by $8.13 a month, for a total of $97.50 for the year. Brookfield CLA adjusted tax rate will increase by 4 cents from $1.95 or $1.92 to $1.96, which will increase the monthly tax bill on a $250,000 home by, sorry, I think I just did Brookfield or Braintree twice. Brookfield will increase from $1.57, 4 cents, $1.57 to $1.61, which will increase the monthly tax bill on a $250,000 home by $8.33 a month, or $100 for the year. Randolph CLA adjusted tax rate will increase by 2 cents from $1.28 to $1.31, which will increase the monthly tax bill on a $250,000 home by $3.50 a month, or $42 for the year. Again, it's important to remember these rates are dependent on what the legislature sets as the yield. There is some talk in the legislature about buying the rate down again this year. However, voters should be aware that any buy down this year creates a potential tax cliff for the 27-28 school year. Voters should also be aware that in order to achieve this budget, this required cutting and or restructuring 3 positions in administration and transitioning faculty and staff from laptops to Chromebooks. While reductions inevitably have impacts on students, we've determined these reductions will have the least negative impacts on students, faculty, and staff as possible. Further reductions would result in significant impact to students. The specific positions included eliminating the assistant superintendent position, replacing it with a director of curriculum and student achievement, eliminating the associate principal at the Randolph Union High School and restructuring responsibilities, eliminating the assistant director of special education position and replacing it with an inclusion specialist funded through Medicaid surplus. The voters are also being asked to place $1,887,000 in surplus funds from the 24-25 school year into the building reserve fund. Doing this ensures there are resources available to building repairs and maintenance which exceed the amounts budgeted without the need for significant tax swings or requiring a bond. The 2 most recent projects being considered for use of building reserve funds include the high school transformer project and the RES environmental controls upgrade. Our current reserve balances as of 6/30/2025. The building reserve is at 1.4 million. I'm going to round here, folks.
Okay.
1.4 million. The operational reserve is at 1.37 million. The technology reserve is at 392,000. Transportation reserve is at 965,000. The legal reserve is at 140,000. Special education reserve is at 515,000. Happy to answer questions for the board or the voters, and happy to have the board highlight anything that I didn't include that you think I should have included. I don't know, that might be more than 30 floors. Maybe I need 100.
It's a slow elevator.
It's a slow elevator. There you go. It's a fairly quick summary into one succinct place.
It's a wonderful overview. Thank you for doing that, Michael.
Sounds like we're in a pretty good position.
I would say you're in fantastic position comparatively.
I do have a question. And it surfaced through the select board saying that there was a request for the police department to fund somebody to be on patrol here at the school.
I haven't, we use the police, but we don't.
It wasn't a request for for one person to be added to their budget to be doing that?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm happy to hear that, thank you.
Would you like to hear about the annual report?
Yes, yes indeed.
So the annual report is a pop-up on the OSSD website. If you go there, it automatically puts it right on your screen. You have to do something to get it to go off. I've sent the link out to OSSD all. I'm prepared to send the link out to our all of our parents through Parent Square, all of our people who have participated in Parent Square. It is, I've also sent the link to you all, so should you choose to put it up on Front Porch Forum or something like that, there's just a regular old link that anybody can go to, nothing special about it, and I'll bring them to that flip book. The booklets that mirror the flip book are at the printers and will be delivered, and once they get delivered to us, they go to the schools, the libraries, and the town offices. I anticipate that they will be there before February break.
Excellent.
Want to hear about informational meetings?
Yes, please.
Great. You have an informational meeting on Thursday, February 26th. It's at 6 o'clock, and it's in the Murray Auditorium. You have the annual school district meeting. It's where you elect your moderator, your clerk, and you review the school ballot for town meeting day. It's on March 2nd, 2026 at 6 o'clock in the Murray Auditorium. Would you like to hear about your 2 open seats?
Yes, indeed.
Okay, you have 2 open seats. You have a Brookfield open seat, and you have a Randolph open seat. No petitions were submitted, and so both of those elections will be run as a write-in candidate, or write-in possibly. I shared in the board report, in my board report that's in the packet, that in order to be successful as a write-in candidate, you need to receive at least 30 votes or 1% of the electorate.
Whichever is less.
Okay?
Can I say something?
Yeah.
So I missed the cutoff for my petition, which is why I'm not on the ballot, but I have launched a write-in campaign. I have a letter to the editor coming out, and I've written a letter to the teachers union asking for their support. So anyone you know that is a Randolph resident.
It's actually
everyone.
all 3 towns.
Everybody gets to vote for you.
Oh, everyone gets to vote. I didn't realize that. Oh, they just had to live here for the petition.
That's right.
Correct.
Okay, so please spread the word. And I'm gonna probably be standing out front, in front of voting with little pieces of paper with my name on it because it's a hard name to spell. And if they spell it wrong, apparently it doesn't count. So, yeah. Yeah.
Good luck.
I know. That's why I was thinking I'll just hand little pieces of paper and be like, write-in candidate. Don't spell it wrong. Write-in candidate. So I apologize I did not get my petition in on time.
Sam, your petition? What happened?
Yeah, I apologize. My time has come to move on from the board. I've enjoyed this experience and time served. Great gratitude and appreciation for the colleagues on this board. I am just feeling a little conflicted in my life right now and getting stretched too thin. And I need to give more attention to my business and my personal life. And so I apologize for having to have the school board be the sacrificing item there, but I still deeply believe in public education, and I will continue to stay active in the community on on discussions around the future of public schools in the state of Vermont. I'm happy to help in Brookfield with your campaign, and I worked on some community members in Brookfield and was unsuccessful getting them to be on the ballot, so I will continue to work on a possible write-in campaign for somebody in Brookfield. And I'm sorry.
Oh.
No apologies.
No apologies.
Understandable.
Thank you so much for your time on the board. It's been great, and we appreciate it. And we appreciate your effort to try and help us out possibly with a new candidate, but, you know, everybody needs to make sure they've got time to take care of the things that they need to take care of, and you've definitely served a significant chunk of time, so much appreciated.
Thank you. Maybe we'll get some kids into the school district.
Okay.
More Brookdale babies, let's go.
Is that what our demographic problem?
And just one thing that I spoke with Michael about is if we're going to endorse a candidate, we should probably be doing that with our personal email, and just keep those lines clear. Community, citizen hat, and board member hat. So it would be under the community citizen hat that you would do that. All righty. So board process, we have been having difficulty getting a date for our support staff negotiations meeting, and I believe the plan is to try and
I'd
set
like
a
to
date.
get 3 dates.
3
So that I
dates.
can give it to the association where we promise we will have people ready to go to those 3 dates.
And this is myself, Rachel, Martha, and you, Ryan.
Speaking of that, I can step off of that committee, because four is plenty, and it meant that 2 was not a quorum, was not enough to hold a meeting. So if I step off, then 2 is enough to hold a meeting.
That's true.
Okay. So you would like to
If that's all right.
decline that committee?
Will you send Ann a quick note?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so the 3 of us need to set is that what you want to do
That-
during this time?
That works, that would
Go
get us
ahead
there.
and, all right, do you have some dates to throw out to us?
So you started with the Thursdays, that, except for, there was one,
There was
Thursday
the
of month
second
and-
Thursday of the month that I can't do.
so
Which-
You're talking evenings, right? Or after school, or?
after,
It's
I
after school, it's usually evening, right?
think last year we did them starting at 5. Ryan, I think that you were the time person.
I
5:30?
was the time person, the employed person, yes, thank you
Yes.
for reminding me. I can be a little more flexible this year.
Was 5:30 though the better time, or was 6? What did?
I can even do 5 this time around.
Okay, so, yeah,
So I
so
think our-
tomorrow didn't work for me, but anytime, let me just make sure before I,
So do you guys want to throw out the Thursdays so tomorrow doesn't work. Do you want to throw out the 19th,
the 19th would work for me.
the 5th, and the 19th?
19th works.
19th is fine.
Wait, the 5th?
You're jumping from 19 to 5 because?
I jumped
Because
from the 19th.
February break.
Yeah, February
Oh,
break, I don't
Okay.
imagine the teachers are going to agree to that, so
The 5th, yep, that works. And what was the last one?
the
The next
12th doesn't work because it's the second Tuesday or Thursday of the month, so the 19th.
19th. I won't
Okay,
be
that's how you
here,
came up with it.
so that one doesn't work for me,
The 19th, but that's,
no.
So do we want to find a date in that week of the 9th,
Oh, yeah, OC's
the March 9th week?
March
Since the
9th.
12th doesn't work, the 11th probably doesn't work. We're down to the 9th or 10th.
Oh, March 19th.
days are, I'm not looking at a calendar.
That's
Days.
Monday is the 9th and Tuesday is the 10th.
Oh, Monday, March 9th, is that what we're looking at?
Possibly,
Yep, that works for me.
It could work.
Monday, March 9th. Ryan?
Sounds good.
Okay, so what I have that I can offer the association is the 19th of February, 5 o'clock, the 5th of March at 5 o'clock, or the 9th of March at 5 o'clock.
And you only need one of them, right?
I only need one of them, and then once you get into that meeting, you'll schedule your next two.
Okay.
But you can
Okay.
do that with them. I just need to, I just need to know that when we give them the date, they'll take it. If
Okay.
whichever one they take, I'm gonna say this is the one they took and know that there's a quorum.
Okay, perfect, that works.
Okay.
All right, all the way around?
Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Okay.
Rachel, that was brilliant.
Okay, the RTCC program closures.
So we brought you a budget last time, and we shared that we would need to make that budget work. We would need to close the criminal justice, and we would need to close the health careers program. So we need an actual motion in order to close those. It's not just enough to adopt the budget. And just so you know, we're getting pushback from the agency around closing the health careers class. So the health careers program, sorry, I should say program, not class. The health careers program has 3 students that are interested in it. Right now, without health careers, without criminal justice, our enrollment at the tech center is in February, today, 91 students. So we're way ahead of where we were last year at this time with less programs. Only 3 students, and these are not counted in the 91, only 3 students have requested health careers. Instead, remember what we're going to do with health careers, or what we're trying to do with health careers, is create an evening adult ed class that just focuses on getting the LNA. And remember that the LNA is the really important thing. You can't get the LNA until you're 18. Our juniors aren't 18. So you want to know why the numbers aren't low? Because they can't get the certificate that goes with it. It doesn't make sense. So I got the feedback from Ruth Durkee, who is in charge of technical centers, that the state wasn't, I don't know what the language she used exactly was, but my interpretation of it is the state was not enthusiastic about us closing the health careers. I promptly sent her back an email that said I'd be happy to talk with her about what our plan was and why it made the right choice to do it. She agreed to that, but then had some family emergencies and hasn't been able to meet with me. I think that the best move for us to make at the moment is for you as a board to go ahead and to authorize the closure of both programs. And if the state doesn't like it, then we can come back and deal with that. But this will get me in the queue for doing what we need to do. I'm looking for a
We're
motion
looking for a motion.
that would say, I move to close the health careers program and the criminal justice program.
Do we have somebody to move that? Or I can move, because we're a small board, we work up. So I move that we close the criminal justice and the health careers program at our Randolph Technical Career Center.
Second.
Seconded by Sam. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Oh, can you say aye too?
Aye.
Aye, there, okay.
Great, thank
Any
you.
opposed? There was no opposed. And any abstentions? No. Okay. So we're gonna move on to teacher appreciation idea. So we're losing Sam, who was our coordinator. If you remember, we used to do, we did a gift card. However, there's been some discussion about maybe we change it up a little bit. So I'm wondering what people think about that idea of maybe changing what we do.
One thing I kept looking for as we sign all these, and I haven't done it, was any kind of a list of the different community groups that did participate, and try to encourage that we spread the wealth, so to speak, and make sure that there's some other groups that are approached about it in some fashion.
About the gift cards?
Yes. Because maybe, can you tell us what groups?
Sure. So we often make a larger list and approach them, and then it gets narrowed down based, I mean, anybody who wants to participate, we've always included. We've also, there are just some circumstances where it's creates complications for their business, and
Like someone we worked with last year, they didn't actually have gift cards they could give us. They opted out
Yeah.
last year.
yeah. But to list who participated last year, we had Village Pizza, Weebird, Wit and Grit, Short Notice, Third Branch,
The Forge.
The Forge, Brainstorm,
Brainstorm, Bent Hill,
Bent Hill,
Thousand Stone Farm maybe?
possibly, and then the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Yep.
And the
But the newly opened Green Trails Inn and pub would be willing.
Okay. So that would be for this year. And then we had and Windy Lane.
Sorry, was it Wendy?
Windy Lane Bakery.
And they're not donations, so we, it's actually a fair amount of coordination for, this was my experience.
There's a map as we add in, there's a math thing because we try to equally distribute the
Yeah.
number.
And it's reaching out to all the businesses, getting commitment or not commitment, figuring out how many we need from each place, coordinating then with the business office to get getting an
1099.
invoice, to get a 1099 and an invoice from the business, so that then the district's able to pay them. So it's,
And then collecting the gift certificates and then getting them to, which Kyle
Kyle.
makes happen.
What about any of the greenhouse type operations or silhouettes type setting? And
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, it's coming out in the planting season, so that makes me think that might be appreciated.
yeah, I think last year it was Sam and I calling a lot of businesses, and it takes a lot of time. We both work full-time, so I think we are limited by the hours in the day. So, I guess.
I think we'll both be on it. Like, yeah, it's not a perfectly fair and whatever system, and if you decide we want to go with a different set or more set, if you're gonna go with more, I encourage.
We should more than two people.
We're gonna need more than two people.
What are other ideas if they didn't, because that sounds very time-consuming, complicated.
Yeah.
With all the getting the paperwork and all that. Is there other ideas that people have other than the gift certificates?
So an idea that I threw out there, outlined it a little bit in your packet, is we're in a weird spot around OSSD not existing. Do we create a little bit boosted morale around some OSSD apparel kind of thing? Be easy to implement. The reality would be I could create a Google form and get sizes of that people want it to be, and then have extras of it. It's a little more expensive, but within the budget that we're running, we would be fine to do that, and it would take that pressure off of the board.
I think that's a nice idea. It builds the concept of school community.
You got a RTCC group that might do, like Jay has usually done with his campaigns, to have T-shirts made somewhere locally. Is that an option, or is that more work than you want?
We use several different vendors for apparel kind of things. I'm not sure where they are.
And I don't want to sound like the amount of, I really value the teachers in this district. And so I don't want to sound like that the work isn't worth it. But I think if you're talking about expanding that outreach, it would need to be more than a committee of 2 people for it to be really reasonable work. I like Michael's idea, because I think that's the other thing, is it builds momentum in the school and helps.
I mean, I could just see right at the beginning of the year, a group picture with everybody who works within OSSD. Right, here it is. It's not the Brookfield apparel that exists out there, the Braintree, the RU, the RES. We're all OSSD.
The whale's tails? Can we do something
Probably
else too?
figure into it. Now, I'm not a graphic designer, but I understand that we have a couple people on staff that do quite a nice job with that.
You could have
I
students
reach out.
design it, some kind of student competition for the
Competition.
teacher appreciation, which also, I don't know, this probably
So this
adds
is,
complication.
no, wait, Rachel, because this is the board's appreciation, so if you wanna head something like that up.
Artist, but yeah, I mean,
If
like
you-
how hard, I mean, I have no idea how that would work, but in terms of like, I don't know, I've never designed t-shirts before, but like, I think,
it's certainly
I have a
within.
sister-in-law who's a graphic artist, and that is what she does for her
yeah,
living.
that is.
She designs
It
t-shirts.
should
and
be
works for
like a
t-shirt company.
professional, or it should be, I mean, I could see, especially if it were something that we did like multiple years,
Yep,
having something that was year specific with the design that year, that's like, oh, the students can like be selected, I don't know.
I think the students can definitely do it. I mean, they did the police department's new logo. It's like definitely within
Yeah,
capability.
oh, I've seen them they do like the fun run for the fifth and sixth graders. The
Oh,
kids
yeah.
design the
They're
shirts.
designing
I'll just throw this out. I don't know whether you want to make it fit or not, but you only have the 250th one time. Do you want to throw that into the design?
you'll have the one.
250th.
Oh,
Uh.
yeah.
The bicentennial .5 of the,
Yeah.
I'm just,
To me, this is the way I remember things last year. I remember that we got sort of late in the game, and I remember it creating a lot of stress. My goal today this year was to make sure that teacher appreciation is that first week in May 4 through something, right? So you've got plenty of time, and I'm just putting it on your radar and trying to, I think y'all work really hard. And I'll save this for the end, but I think you all work really hard, and
I promise you, no matter who is the one and how many are organizing the gift card program, it will be a mad dash at the end again. It's been every year, no matter how early, how proactive you are, it's just, there's too many variables. So,
and there are businesses that wait till the very last.
second, to
Second.
respond to you.
So,
I did throw out a separate possible scenario. But if you want the gift card,
So
that's yours.
I'm certainly in favor of the swag idea.
Can
are
we
you
have a-
are you
can we have a
swagging it or
motion?
t-shirting it, or does it matter?
Okay. Can we have a motion? Are we ready to make a motion to maybe do that versus the other? Or do we want to just by consensus decide? How do we want to make this decision about what we do?
I would like to make a motion to have, I like the t-shirt idea, I like the idea of building community, so I'm gonna put forward a motion that the funds are utilized for OSSD apparel, I'll leave it open-ended,
for teacher appreciation.
I'll second that.
Seconded by Beverly. Any more discussion?
Is there a cap on the finances behind this?
Well, we have an approximation, right, from the previous year, and you had said there's,
I do think that this is gonna be a more expensive route, but I think that it will be in line with what you've spent in the past.
Which is?
And we have plenty, the funds are available. This will not create a deficit for you. You have $9,000 in your budget.
okay, any more discussion? All right. are
And how
we-
many on the staff? How many shirts?
No, I think that we went with something like 400 or 450 gift cards last year.
Are we ready for a vote? All those in favor?
Get a second?
Oh,
Yes.
Okay.
yeah, we got a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Okay. Next up was our added item, the timing of the board packet. You want to speak to this one, Martha? Or make a motion for what
I
you
think
were
I already
hoping
have
for?
spoken to it.
came in after. People who came in after
Okay, all right. So because the last one was so terribly long, I didn't feel like that was, I felt it created pressure on the board members to try and plug through it all. If they're getting it on Friday, and sometimes weekends have a full slate already. But even to just make it a week, so it was Wednesday, that might be, it's not encroaching too much on your timelines and things, but it gives people a little extra time to be able to weigh things in. If it were going to be, I'm gonna say over a 75 page.
75 pages.
Do you have a motion on the table yet?
No.
I'm filling people in a little bit.
I think you need the motion so that we can get to the discussion, because I've got some things I'd like to respond to, but I can't
Okay.
until you give me the motion.
Okay, so do we have a motion for the timing of the packet? Do you want to propose that, Martha?
I move that if a board packet will have more than 75 pages to it, that it would be dispersed by Wednesday of the week before the meeting as opposed to Friday.
Okay, do I have a second for that?
I guess we gotta second it to get to conversation, right?
Yeah,
Second.
okay, seconded by Sam. So now we're open for discussion.
So from a timeline standpoint, what you're looking at is the chair and the vice chair and I meet on the Monday or the Tuesday before the Friday that the packet goes out. There is no way that I can prepare a packet to go out, have the chair and the vice chair create an agenda on the Monday or the Tuesday and have the packet out the next week or the next day, right? So that's not gonna work. So what you're really proposing with that proposal is that we would have to push
Back up.
the timeline of when the chair and the vice chair meet to propose an agenda. Really what I'd have to do is I'd have to always think it's gotta go out on the Wednesday before. It's not conditional on how large or not large the packet is. Or you'd have to say to the chair and the vice chair, don't create an agenda that has more than 75 pages worth of material to it, right? Which,
Isn't really always feasible during budget season.
or you could say to me, I could have cut down the number of pages that was in that and not provided you necessarily with all of the resources that I think that you need. I
So,
think that we're in a system where the time-driven, what you're really asking for is, do you want the packet a week earlier? And if you do, that's fine. Just understand that you're going to come to a board meeting with old information, especially, like, I think you saw today with Jay, things have happened a lot in the last week, and none of that would be in the packet.
Yeah, I
So
don't,
I guess I'm gonna ask, has it only happened in the board, during the budget season?
Well, the particular one that you were speaking about was the one that had, that last one that was extremely large, which was just showing how the new district quality standards, how that went through, and we felt like we wanted to make sure that the board, because it was such a quick turnaround, we wanted to make sure the board saw all of that, but it wasn't, we weren't necessarily expecting you to read it with a fine-tooth comb. It was more to kind of give you a sense of, you could kind of skim through it. So that particular one was super long. The budget ones, I mean, they're long, but I don't know. I'm just speaking from my perspective.
Yeah,
I find that I can get through most
I
of this.
think creating policy or precedent around this is unnecessary, and I don't think we should be getting a week-old information just so we can have more time to prepare. I think the number of times where the packet is that long is very infrequent, and I think it's an unreasonable expectation to ask Michael, ask the board chair and vice chair, and for Kyle to put that out. I think Kyle getting it to us on the 6th was totally reasonable.
There
I think
was the time once when it kept being changed. I mean, it went out on Friday, but it was amended on Monday, and things still came to us on Wednesday. That one was really confusing.
Yeah, I think your point has been noted that you would like more time to get prepared with the packet. I think setting precedent around it is not necessary, and I think it just sets you up for failure.
I really appreciate getting it on Friday. Getting it 2 days earlier during the work week when I work and I've got kids' activities in the evening isn't gonna impact my ability to access the material. So, I really appreciate getting it on Friday. That's usually when I have time to read it. And then if there's add-ons Monday or Tuesday, it's pretty easy to buzz. It's been easy for me to kind of buzz through those, so. There was a time when I started on the board where we got the board packets after the weekend, and that was really difficult. And so there's already been really nice effort to get it to us before the weekend. And so I just want to acknowledge that was a really positive change that happened. And for me, as an individual, 2 extra days during the work week isn't going to make a difference.
Ryan, did I hear you say it's working for you?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think the existing system works very well.
Anyone else finding that you need more time? Okay, then I'm gonna bring this to a vote. All those in favor of pushing back the time, say aye. All those opposed? Nay?
Nay.
Abstain.
And abstain. Okay, one abstention. So, okay.
With a tag, they sometimes do this at the legislature, I would appreciate them being aware of that and trying to keep the size down, or to say, on these pages, this is a skim through or something like that, so.
Okay. All right. So noted. All righty, so moving on, just a reminder, on March 26th, is the next virtual policy governance training.
The next one's actually February 26th, but we have a
But
meeting
we
scheduled at the
have
same
that
time.
budget information meeting. Yeah. And so we're moving on to monitoring. And we have a first read of 2 monitoring reports. 2.3, financial conditions and activities, and 2.6, asset protection. So hopefully you've had a chance to at least skim through. Remember that you can always, connect with Michael between now and the next meeting if you see typos, or if you have a particular question, or if you want to come in and actually physically see some of the evidence that is noted in the monitoring report. So are there any initial questions after just sort of perusing those 2 monitoring reports? Okay, seeing none, I'm going to move on to, if you remember at the last meeting, we accepted the one monitoring report, but the other one, the emergency succession, Michael was going to add a little more clarity to what was going to happen, because as he was doing it, he realized he didn't feel like he was really in compliance because some of the detail was missing. And so in his, is it in this main packet or is it in your?
It's on page
I'll let you.
It's page 55, and it's an
55.
add-on.
Okay.
So 55 describes what I did, and then I gave you the actual thing printed at your desk today. So essentially, high school principal Lisa Floyd has agreed to serve as the temporary superintendent in the event that emergency superintendent succession is required. So in addition to the regular cabinet meetings, really part of what's going on, even last year with an assistant superintendent, was at the cabinet meetings, making all of the leadership aware of the major things that are happening. I have an operations meeting every Monday for the week that continues behind it, and informing people, making sure that they know what's happening there. In addition to that, Principal Floyd and I meet every other week, and we're going to set aside time in that for anything that's not been covered in one of those other spots. Principal Floyd has submitted her material for transcript review. Regardless of whether you accept this or don't accept this, she's going to get her superintendent's license so that that's ready and set to go, and could float right into that. I appreciate her willingness to do that, and think that this plan meets the requirements for you to have a fairly smooth transition in the event that you need it. Further say, I hope you never need it.
Yes.
Right?
For sure.
Between what's happening in those meetings and whatnot, and like one of the main reasons that Kyle keeps my calendar is so that she knows what's happening at any given time. She reads any of the material that I need, another set of eyes on to say, hey, is this making sense and whatnot. So I think the resources are there, and I, with those changes, would be happy to submit that I am compliant with EL 2.5.
Okay. So as a board, we need to, I believe at the last meeting, we didn't.
You have not adopted.
We have not
You have not accepted
accepted
EL 2.5.
2.5. So I need a motion to accept EL 2.5 emergency succession as compliant with this addition that Michael's given us in terms of detail for how he is compliant.
So moved.
Okay.
I'll second.
Okay, seconded by Rachel Fish. And is there any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? It passes. Okay. Our financial situation, how are we doing?
We're strong. We are we're running a surplus at the moment for the 2025-2026 school year, with nothing abnormal or major changes from the last time.
Awesome. And our building is holding up. We're still moving along. Okay, super. So I'm going to move us into our policy decisions, and we have several, these are required policies, so if you remember, we have to, or Michael has to make sure that our district has all of the required state policies posted and adopted by the district and on our website. So these are second readings because there were little changes that had to be made. And then there is one new one. It's a new required policy. Do you want to?
The cell phone policy?
Yeah.
Adopted last year in the state legislature. They've released the model policy, and it's in your packet.
Okay. So we need a motion to accept the 4 policies, starting with criminal history record checks, because we're on the second read, and we'll wait if anybody has any questions on the cell phone policy. You can speak to Michael, but again, that's been vetted by VSBA legal staff, and again, it's just to be in compliance with our required policies.
So it's just the second reads that you need a motion for?
Yes, please.
You could do it all in one motion if you're feeling smooth.
I will do my very best, but I flubbed it up last meeting, so there's not a lot of hope. I move to adopt, thank you, I was like, pass is not the right word, see, I'm already messing it up. I move to adopt the following 4 policies: criminal history, record check policy, B2, volunteers and work study students, C10, prevention of harassment, hazing, and bullying, and C14, section 504 and ADA grievance protocol.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rachel. Any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that passes. And we'll be doing a second read on the cell phone policy at the next meeting. Monitoring the board, we are looking at the chair's role policy. So this is just where in policy we outline the responsibility of the chair, and we're evaluating to make sure that we are staying within policy. And the only spot where I felt might want to look at, and I know for some folks might not be worthwhile, and we're always sort of trying to keep on task and keep our meetings within a reasonable time. But during the policy governance training, virtual training, one of the things that several of the other board chairs do is take maybe 10 minutes of a board meeting and just throw out a scenario, so that's not something that might be related to an issue that's going on within our particular district, but just to kind of help folks look at how to work with policy governance so that you get sort of the way of thinking when you're on a policy governance board. And I would say that's in number 5 of this policy. I think that would help our board perform maybe a little bit better, or at least have a better understanding and reinforce, because that's one thing with a policy governance board, to be sort of working at a high level, you do have to sort of practice, and so that would be my one thing that I would say could be done more. And there's a book that just has, and it would take like 10 minutes of board time, and I think that might just be something that we think about maybe doing, if we can get efficient with our board meetings.
And you've looked at it enough to say, I think these are good scenarios for us to ponder.
Yeah, I mean, it's put out by the folks that,
We've lost Ryan.
uh-oh. Completely.
We
went
haven't
dead.
lost Ryan. Ryan is still right here. Ryan can't see you, but he can see me. Imagine you can see me, Ryan. No? Oh, no, you still see us fine. Sorry. Here, let's
Did
break
it,
so
did
we
it
can
go
hear
to
you.
sleep? Did it go to sleep or something?
It went to sleep. Nobody noticed that it was going to sleep. Ryan, we're good with you. We can see you, but I need to change my sound. Hang on. Can you say hi?
Well, I'm
Yes.
glad-
There you
I'm
go.
glad you're good with me because I'm very upset with all of you.
That's it. We can still, they can hear you, they can't see you.
So,
Oh, don't do that, Ryan. No, just kidding.
so Martha had a question about where these scenarios come from. There's a whole resource book that our district owns that you can just pull it out and put it in on a monthly basis. But it's another way to just practice, make sure that we're getting proficient in how to look at policy, make sure we're staying within policy. So anyway, that was just one thing that I thought is maybe something as we
Is it
reorg.
something we have to agree to do every time, or could we do it on a trial basis and maybe, if it's a really packed meeting, we skip it this time?
Well, and the way this policy works, I think the chair, and remember, we are coming up to our March meeting, so the chair may, and I may encourage some other people to be chair. So, but the chair can, I think, initiate this. The chair, because the last part of this policy is the chair will ensure that the board fulfills its obligations and work to improve the board's performance. So as I was kind of looking at this, I was kind of looking at and reflecting a little bit on what we've been talking about, because I have been going to the training, and several of the other board chairs do that, and they've said it doesn't take very much time, and it does sort of get the board kind of really in sync with their policies. So it was just something that I thought of. We don't have to decide anything now. And it would really be the prerogative of the chair, I think, to try it. Because the chair and the vice chair build the agenda. So, anyway. Any other comments from sort of looking at how we are functioning and following policy? What are you doing over there?
I'm impressed. Did you look at the agenda?
What, 8:04? Oh, 8:00, and we're, yeah,
Wow.
unless somebody has something else they want to say
See,
about
there's
this.
the timely piece right here in the monitoring, and we are timely.
And we are timely
We
here.
added the item.
Okay, so moving on. We have the consent agenda, and again, remember, consent agenda are just, it's a lot of stuff that We just need to approve. So hopefully everyone has had a chance to take a look at it. And I'll look for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
We used to have our half-day time posted on the annual calendar, or easily available on the district website. And on a recent half-day, since I don't usually pick my kids up, I was asked what time half-day was, and I went into total panic and couldn't find it anywhere. So I'm wondering if we could post it. It doesn't have to be in the annual calendar we adopt tonight, but maybe on the OSSD page. It was marked as an all-day event. It was an all-day half-day.
Okay.
Which,
All day, half
an all-day half-day. I think that's just how it got put in the calendar and then translated to the website.
Yes.
That would be awesome, because it used to be there. And so when I went, I know we changed formats and I like this format better, but that was one thing that got lost in translation.
Okay.
Okay.
So half-day, school ends 11:45 or whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Be different for different schools, right? So everybody get out at a different time?
Maybe. Good question. We'll
They
find
all start
out.
at a different time, they get out at different times. Everybody should have the same school day.
I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I don't know the answer to that. It used to say it on our district calendar.
We
though.
get out.
I do know that.
The times, the end times are relatively close, but
Yeah.
yes, I will figure out how to get it so that it's clear.
That would be great. Thank you.
I always end up texting our poor school admin.
I mean, I emailed Melinda and she got right back to me, but I also thought, on half day, she didn't need that email either.
She's like an hour ago. Where are you?
I mean, I sent it at like 6 in the morning, so.
Okay, so I'm still looking for a motion.
I'll move to, since I held this up, I'll move to adopt the consent agenda as written.
Do I have a second? Seconded by Beverly. All those in favor say aye. Oh, no, discussion, any discussion?
Not on consent.
Oh, not on consent agenda, I don't have to do that, okay. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, consent agenda passes. Superintendent's report, Michael, got any?
You gave us a lot of it already.
Yes.
Here's, I worked it in nice, didn't I?
You did.
But the place that I want to absolutely really point to, I have already worked in, but I'm going to explicitly say, really proud of the Up for Learning work. And the kids are presenting at House Ed this Friday, the 13th, at 11:30. And they're presenting at Senate Ed at 1:15. You know, if you want to watch them live, you can watch them live, or you can watch them afterwards, or
Are you going up
whatnot.
there?
But I will be there. Yep.
Nice.
I will be.
What time for Senate Ed?
1:15.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. Fantastic. And then the only other thing in my board report that we haven't talked about is Board Appreciation Month. And I want to thank you, the OSSD team wants to thank you at your desks or tables or whatever. It's a little gift bag. You know that wasn't me, you know that's the OSSD team, that's right, team, jazzing up the gift. The inside the bag is a jar of strawberry rhubarb jam made from my grandfather's rhubarb plants and strawberries from Sweet Acorn Heights, canned in the Clark kitchen. So enjoy, and thank you for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
My husband likes you already.
Ryan, I have a bag here for you. I'll figure out how to get it to you.
Hey, give it to Sam. We'll figure it. He lives pretty close to me.
Keep it for you.
Okay. Action recap, we don't We don't have any action items.
We have
See you all at the
one
informational meetings.
So informational meetings and the annual school district meetings, we can make that one as well. I know it's a lot of meetings. They go fairly quickly, especially that annual school district meeting.
But we do need a quorum.
Well, I don't know if we do with the school district one,
Oh,
because
maybe.
that's the meeting of the community, so it's not the board. And the informational meeting, do we need a quorum? I
Well,
don't,
in all
Because
honesty, you're not
again-
taking any action.
yeah, so,
So, do I think it helps you to have a quorum? Sure. Am I still gonna say whatever I'm gonna say at that? Yes. But would it be easier if there were 5 of you there? Yes. It would be clear that it's a board meeting and there would be no arguing that you didn't hold the informational meeting that the board is required to hold.
okay. So
I'm
you're not
sorry,
quite off
I
the
teach
hook.
that night, so
Oh.
I can't
So-
be here. As much as my students might appreciate me canceling class for it, I can't do it.
Got it on the calendar.
All right, thanks, Sam. And everyone else?
Last noble act.
Yes. Okay, so we are adjourning at 8:11.
That's the earliest in a while, huh?
Yeah, well, we got through a lot
Ryan,
of
thank you.
difficult.
Work
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Thank you, good
Thanks,
night.
Ryan.